Alrighty, what is going on, everyone? So I am very excited to announce that my guest for today is none other than the lead guitarist of Drag Dunder. Ladies and gentlemen, Sean Rosario. How are you today?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you. So how long have you been a musician for? Not necessarily a guitarist, but just sort of any form of music. How long have you been playing for?
Dude, I think, because I knew you're probably going to ask me, like, where did you start from? But I mean, so I grew up in a pretty musical household. Like my father and his brothers growing up were musicians. So like my dad has been a drummer and he's kind of like tinkered with guitar and bass forever. So like I grew up with a room in our house that was just full of musical instruments like drums and
something
organ.
Like this.
You know what? Yeah, exactly. So he set up a drum kit probably when I was like, I mean, I want to say diapers, but I was very young. Like I couldn't, like probably not tall enough to see over the kick drum. So he set up like the floor tom as the kick drum and like a snare drum and a hi-hat. And it just was tinkering around with it. So definitely under 10 is when I probably started like trying to play music like, just for fun.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, just because seeing my dad do it, I was like, I want to do what he does. So I think, yeah, when I was super, super young, dude.
So
now I'm here.
Yeah. So is it just drums and guitar you can play, or can you play bass and keyboard and stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, God, I haven't played drums in such a long time. Like anytime we're practicing, like it doesn't happen frequently, but like I'll get behind the kit and like play a little bit. I'm like, dude, you get rusty quick. So I mean, I mainly stick to guitar. Bass is like, I think an extension of guitar. It's just like it's simplified guitar. I mean, hopefully that doesn't get. I don't get tarnished for that. Keyboards, I did take some theory. I went to school for audio and music, so I had to take a couple theory classes. So like I could piece together or limp through a song, but I can't you can't just drop sheet music in front of me and then like me read it from just start to finish and play it. I'm like, okay, that's a C, that's an F sharp. So that's basically me on a keyboard.
Right. So when you play drums, does that really like make Kalen feel a lot better, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like, yeah, he'll give me some shit every once in a while, but that's why I'm just like, all right, I'll just play guitar, dude.
So what was it that sort of got you into music? Was it sort of a specific song, or like were there any specific songs that got you into playing guitar?
So growing up, like I vividly remember doing chores outside because I grew up on, I wouldn't say like a big plot of land. I grew up on like a little less than an acre. So my dad would always turn on this radio station called 99.9, which played like all the rock tunes from like when he was growing up. And then every once in a while, like they would shuffle in like more modern stuff. And when I mean like modern, it was like newer than the 70s or 80s, right? So like, of course, like Zeppelin, Sabbath, AC/DC, like all like those cornerstone bands like would always play all the time. And I think like really caught my attention was AC/DC. I was like, it's just all their songs are so simple. And I think I just fell in love with not only just the sound of them, but like their stage presence too. I was like, I thought it was so cool. And I wanted an SG for so long, dude. Like that was like my dream guitar. So that's what kind of like sparked that initial fire as far as like wanting to play music. But what I felt like really turned the gears for me was like when I heard Enter Sandman by Metallica. That was the one where I was just like, dude, this was like so heavy. And like, because sonically it's like talking about a record from like the early 90s, dude. That record sonically was like massive, right? And I'm the guy who thinks that's their best record. Like everyone will say like, you know, And Justice for All or Master of Puppets. Like I respect those records, but I'm the dude who I love the Black Album. And I'll also say this, that I think Saint Anger is a sick record too. But yeah, I feel like AC/DC and Metallica were like those two bands that like really like inspired me a lot like growing up, like made me want to be a musician and play music.
It's really good to hear that you're repping my boys from Australia. So, you know.
Exactly, man. I saw you when I said AC/DC, you're like, oh yeah. Okay. Yeah,
I know them.
Yeah, right. A little small band.
Yeah, they're probably, they're really obscure. You probably never heard of them before.
Yeah.
This little underground Australian scene, you know.
Exactly, right.
So yeah, before you mentioned sort of looking for like an SG and you really liked SGs, is there like a specific brand that you look for now, or do you kind of just play a bit of everything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Schecter right now, and I love their guitars. Like some of them, like of course, like don't appeal to me. You know, they're a very like metal-esque brand, but like I feel like I'm more of like a traditional looking kind of person. Like, of course, Gibson was like one of the first brands that really caught my eye, like the SG and the Les Paul and even the Firebird. And then I started getting into, like, speaking of Metallica, it's like James Hetfield played an Explorer, but it wasn't a Gibson, it was an ESP Explorer.
Right.
So I started like following that, and where I think I finally like kind of filled that void of having an SG, because like my parents, you know, they're just like, we're not buying you a $2,000 guitar.
Yeah.
I was like, darn it, okay. But ESP came out with a Viper. I don't know if you know what those look like. It basically looks like an SG, but it's like kind of cockeyed a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I think I've seen them before. I don't know if my music shop or the music shop that I live near has them, but like I'll look it up afterwards. So
yeah, so I mean, I was like, dude, this is perfect. And I was going to, I think I was in high school at the time. I had a buddy who had one. He was selling it, and I was like, dude, I got to get this. So then that's when I kind of transitioned into playing a lot of ESP stuff. Like they just had the sauce at the time, and that was right around like, so high school. I mean,
I've just looked it up. So
perfect, dude.
Go.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. So at that time too, like we're talking like early 2000s, like 2006, like 2008, like every band on the block was playing ESP or LTD.
Yeah.
Like that was the thing you had to have. But now it's like, when it comes to what I will play, being in the band with Fluff, especially, like he's built his reputation off of like connections in the industry, right? Like he knows dudes from PRS, ESP, Schecter. And that's how he got me connected with Schecter too. So it's like, Schecter has been one of those brands that like, I have played Schecter too. Like I think the first 8-string I ever bought was a Schecter, and it was sick, dude. It was super sick. And so I was like, I'll give Schecter a shot. And then they started coming out with more traditional looking guitars. Cause speaking of my dad, he had I think it was like a 80 something Strat, like from Fender, right?
Right.
And so they started coming out with like Strat models and stuff. And I was like, dude, this is perfect. Like they look traditional, but we can like hot rod them and put different pickups in it. And like, it looks old school, but it has like a modern sound. And like, I guess that's like what I really want to keep chasing too, is something that looks not super metally and like crazy colors. It's like, dude, just give me like normal, like black and white, or like even fluorescent colors. I'm really into. Like one of the guitars I have is like a mint green. So just solid colors. Like I'm just kind of a simple, kind of straightforward person when it comes to colors. Yeah,
it's funny that you mentioned like sort of metal looking guitars, because like you go to the music shop and there's ones with like unnecessary spikes and shit, and it's like like
yeah, like BC Rich. I'm like, I couldn't get behind that, dude. You know, if that appeals to you, like go for it, dude. I would never knock anybody for playing a guitar that they love, right? Like I'm all about supporting that too. Me personally, it's just like I like to, like traditionally, I think it's maybe paying homage to like the classic rock heritage that I feel like I was raised in when it came to like the music my dad introduced me to. Like Jimi Hendrix played a Strat, and Stevie Ray Vaughan, which I'm a big fan of, played a Stratocaster too. So I just fell in love with Strats.
Yeah, fair enough. It's I'm looking around. I don't have a Strat, so I can't be like, oh yeah, man, I love Strats. Like I personally, not my thing, but I don't really. Yeah. I've got like 4 different guitars, and they're all like a different brand, so like it's hard to really connect. So just not really a big fan.
No, I totally get it too. I think it's just like, to each their own, right? It's like, you know, BC Rich is your thing, or if Schecter is your thing, or ESP. It's like, dude, play what you want. Like I was talking to the singer Tony a while back of like, am I really going to commit to this company? Or can I like go somewhere else too? And he's like, dude, like play what you want, but like at the end of the day, like, you know, basically that's it. Just play what you want. Like, you know, build that relationship. You know, they take care of you. Like, and
it really helps having or being in a band with someone that's like got a music channel dedicated to guitars and gear and stuff like that. So it's, you know, not saying that you're friends with him because he has that connection, but it's good that he does have that connection.
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming too, because, you know, we've been in discussions of like molding and morphing our rigs, not only just outside of our guitars too. Like, I mean, he's with Ernie Ball, which I don't think he'll ever leave, because they're like the upper echelon of production and quality and stuff. But, you know, outside of that too, it's definitely overwhelming when you know that you have a lot of connections and relationships.
Yeah.
When it comes to like what you can play or what you should play, it's like, dude, I just want to sound good. You know, that's my big thing. So
fair enough. Yeah, like Tony said, just play what you know, play what you like. So yeah, if you play an Ernie Ball or, you know, Ibanez or whatever, and it sounds a bit shit, then go on to something else. You don't have to sort of fully commit to another brand. So
Yeah, and also too, I think was just the vibe of the band too. Like I'm a big person when it comes to like continuity.
Yeah,
looks wise, it's like we eventually got to a point where we all had like solid looking colors. Like Fluff has like this blue sparkle guitar from Ernie Ball, and then Hans at the time was playing with Music Man, and I think he had a white one, and then he had like a baby blue one, and then I have like this mint green guitar, and I was like, dude, that's like kind of a sick look. Like we all have these like fluorescent kind of looking colors, and everybody's guitar looks, kind of like a classic looking body. And I was just like, dude, I think that's sick. So I'm gonna stick with that.
Yeah. And that is cool that you had sort of different colors, like with the live stream, you all had sort of like different colored suits. So like it sort of helps it's like the Wiggles in a way. The Wiggles if they were a punk rock band.
Yeah, and I don't even know how that came about too. They're just like, all right, we're gonna just wear like all white, and like we're gonna just do different color like suspenders and ties. And I was like, for sure.
Yeah, hell yeah.
And the day before, we're just spray painting like everything outside. We're like, okay, perfect.
Before I mentioned the Wiggles, do you know who that is?
I don't.
Oh, okay. It's a
yeah. I just assumed that it was a band that's like they just wear the same thing, and I was just like, dude.
Kind of. They're a like a kids TV show band. Like
Oh.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't think of any like Americanized versions, but like yeah, basically they're like a kids band. So like there's the yellow one and the purple one and the blue one, and it's like kind of like that. But yeah, before we talked about AC/DC being really obscure, I think that to Americans the Wiggles is very obscure. So
yeah, dude, straight up. I mean, but the only way I feel like I relate to it too is like outside of music is like the Power Rangers. It's like
that would have been a better reference.
Yeah. Dude. But I mean, we're sticking into like the ballpark of music.
Yeah.
It's like trying to find a band that like wears, continuity. Like Slipknot, I mean, like they all have their mask thing, right? They all wear different masks, and they wear like those big jumpsuits. So it's like I'm into that vibe. Like everyone's like you put them on a show. It's like everyone's like kind of conducive and works together. Yeah. Like looks wise too, which I love.
Kiss would have also been a good one because like
perfect, dude. Yeah. How did we miss that?
I don't know why I went for such a weird reference of a kids band, but I thought it was a good idea, and all of my Australian friends will agree. So
yeah, dude. I mean, Kiss is like the ultimate reference. Yeah. It's like that makes 100% sense. Like that was their thing. It's like makeup and just like, dude, crazy looking instruments, dude, platform boots.
Oh yeah,
dude, crazy. That's obscene.
So obviously everyone in the band would have like their references or their sort of inspirations that they grew up with. Was there like a specific band that all five of you all agreed on? Like all of you took inspiration from?
Boy, I think like when I first initially started talking to them, when they were asking me to like try out, I asked them, I was just like, what are your guys' inspirations? And I think the big one that they all referenced was Beartooth.
Okay.
Like we definitely want to be like kind of like a Beartooth-esque kind of band, with like big choruses, but like aggressive sounding riffs and stuff like that. And I was like, perfect. And that was the band that I felt like we all were like, dude, yeah, we listened to them, we love them. And like having the pleasure of actually touring with them was crazy too. Like I can't speak more highly of any other individuals. Like all those dudes on that tour, like even Wage War and like all the Beartooth dudes were like super cool, man. So it was definitely full circle of like all of us being inspired by the sound of Beartooth and like getting to share the stage with them for extended period of time was crazy.
Just then you said like you were trying out for the band. How did it come across for you to like audition for the band? How did you kind of get in contact with them about that?
Yeah, so Fluff and myself, we have a mutual friend named Ryan, and Ryan was a guy that I went to music school with, and when he contacted me, the text he sent me was, hey man, are you still trying to tour? And I thought he was hitting me up about like an audio gig, and I was just like, well, it depends on for what and how much, because at that time, I mean, still, this was 2 years ago now, I basically like was in a position where I was really committing to like an at-home life. Like I own a home, like I have bills and shit, and so like I was like, it's got to be worth my time. Like I'm not just gonna like quit my job and risk not paying my mortgage to go do sound for an up and coming band. And then he told me, he's like, no, my buddy Fluff, his band Dragged Under is looking for another guitar player. I was like, at that time, I definitely knew of them, and I've listened to a handful of their songs. I was like, oh, for sure, dude, like had the trajectory for success,
right?
Sure. Yeah. Like just based on their sound. And then I think a few days later, Fluff finally messaged me on Facebook, and he asked me all the questions. He kind of vetted me. Mainly, their big thing was it wasn't just a matter of like finding a good guitar player. Like the big thing for them, and I think a lot of other bands could really agree when they're like looking for new members, is like, is this somebody that we could be with?
Yeah.
And get along with, right? Because you can find there's a ton of talented musicians out there. But finding somebody who you can be in a van with and like be on the road with for extended period of time, like 30, 60 days at a time. It's like, dude, you want to make sure that person is like not a weirdo, but also somebody who's not going to get on your nerves too much, right? And so luckily for me, like it was kind of a double-edged sword, because right when they hit me up was March, like beginning of March of 2020. And they just got off that used run. And I don't know what plans they had, but like they would have definitely like been touring throughout those months, but like that's right when COVID happened.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right. And they literally told me, they're like, dude, like, well, it's going to be quite some time before we actually like do anything. So like just learn as much as you can. And like, and I had a good friend at the same time I was talking with who had tour experience. He toured with, you ever heard of a band called I Declare War?
No, I haven't heard of them before.
They're like an older deathcore band. They came up like 2008, 2009,
right,
kind of around that area. But he's toured all over the place, like Australia, Europe, the US a bunch of times, right? And I was poking him about it, and I was like, I feel like I should do this. Like, what do you think? He's like, absolutely, man. Like, this is your opportunity to finally like scratch that tour itch and like do it with a band that's like legit. Because when I showed him the record, he's like, oh, dude, in a heartbeat, I can tour with this band. Like, this is perfect. And he was like one of those dudes who was like a big advocate for like not only just doing this, but the process of doing it too, like showing the initiative of being somebody who really wants it.
Yeah.
Right. So like I took the time to like record playthroughs and put them on YouTube and then send them the links, and they're like, oh, dude, like not only do you play the songs well, but like you're actually sending us demos like of songs that I'm writing at the same time, but like me playing your stuff, like I'm legit. So I feel like I showed them that I had the work ethic behind like proving to them that I was qualified, but also like somebody who really wanted it and was committed, because somebody again could be a good guitar player, but they don't want to tour. And that was kind of an issue they were running into with a lot of people, is like, I'm willing to take that risk. Cause I think the days after I talked to Fluff, I really had to sit down and I was like, okay, what does this look like? Like, I own a home, I have bills. Like at the same time too, like I totally forgot to mention this, I was in the process of getting a brand new job. Like I was going to go into doing mortgages. Right. So I was talking about like making a career change at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, dude, like, do I chase this dream of playing music, or do I just commit to the 9 to 5? And I was like, dude, I don't think I could get to the end of my life knowing that I pass up on an opportunity to like do what I love.
Yeah.
And it reignited that fire where I was just like, dude, I can't not.
Yeah.
Like I have to do this. And it's been super tough since then too, because COVID's definitely been something that's been very devastating to a lot of our plans.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
A lot of people have mentioned that to me. They're like, dude, like we've had tours fall through because of it, but we're definitely pushing through that. Like we're supposed to go to Europe here in less than a month. So we're just super excited to like, not only just put out new music, but finally like what matters to us all is like just playing shows. I think that's why we all do it. Like releasing records is cool and like that's important, but like that's your vessel to getting people to your shows and playing music for them live.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate timing that it's like, yeah, man, we want you for this band. All right, sweet, I'm in. Oh yeah, the world ended, so we're gonna have to put that on pause for a second.
Dude, yeah, it was so brutal. I mean, I can't even tell you like the process, because during that time I was meeting up with Fluff and Kaylin at Kaylin's house. That's like basically our practice spot.
Right.
And just rehearsing so much, dude. But like, I guess no such thing as too much practice, right? But it definitely got us to a point where like when we finally got the opportunity to play, we were super butt tight, which I'm proud of too. So, but it was cool, man. Like we did the live stream thing too. And that kind of like, cured the itch for a little bit. It's like, all right, we're in the van and we're, driving to another state, and like we had to like experience a little road time together. But yeah, then we do the Beartooth tour and it's like, okay, perfect. Like this is what I've been wanting, like playing around the country too, seeing some places that I've never seen before, which was sick.
And that was worth giving up the mortgage job for an opportunity like that.
100%, dude. 100%. I would say like the places where I was just like, I felt like this was, meant to be was, New York was definitely really sick. That's a place I've always wanted to see. And some of like the outdoor venues too were really tight. Like there's a place in Pittsburgh called Stage AE. It's an indoor-outdoor venue. Like they can turn it around either way, and like right out, like when we played outside, the football stadium for the team out there was just like right in the distance. This is just like right in the background, and it's just absurd. Like where you can just see like the city, and it's like you're seeing the stadium. It's like, dude, like, and also that just like a bunch of people too. It's like, dude, this is. Like I've had this dream before. I'm living it. It's crazy.
That's awesome. So, you mentioned like playing live shows and stuff like that, and there's videos on like YouTube and Instagram and stuff like that of you and the bass player Hans like doing sort of weird stage gags where you're like throwing each other your guitars and like jumping over each other. How did you kind of come up with ideas like that?
Dude, I don't know. I'm pretty sure that came from him. That's a big thing that we try to bring to the table is not only just like good music, but we want to put on like a high energy performance.
Yeah.
Like we want to move, and like I feel like that movement on stage really influences people in the crowd to move as well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we were just talking one day backstage. He's like, dude, we need to do something that's like a little different. And then we talked about doing the guitar change.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is kind of scary. Like my guitars aren't super expensive, but like I don't want you biffing it, or like I don't want to be responsible for your $3,000 basses. So I'm trying to remember too if we actually practiced it. I'm pretty sure we did. We had to have. I don't remember what date.
You're just on stage and Hans is like, catch, and you're like, oh shit.
Dude, straight up. But like I always made sure I looked at him. I was like, all right, you ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, and like hugged it to him. And we never had an issue by any means. But yeah, we just wanted to do something different. And so, yeah, man, like as simple as it was, I was like, dude, it'd be kind of cool if like I just hugged you the guitar and like I played the bass for that last breakdown of the set. And as simple as it was, like people loved it.
Yeah.
Like as soon as we tossed the guitars and we caught him, everyone was like, yeah. Like, hell yeah, dude.
Well, yeah, I've never seen anything like that before. So it's like you mentioned, the sort of high energy, like in an age where everyone's sort of on their phones doing recording and stuff like that. It's really cool to just look at the band. It's like, holy shit, they're actually just like, they're not just standing there playing the instruments. They're like moving around and just putting on a show. So yeah, on an age where no one's really paying attention to the band anymore, it's good that you're making them.
Yeah, I mean, and I've noticed that too, like some of the shows that I've been to recently where it's like everyone wants to capture that moment on their phone, which I do at times too. Like I won't record a whole show on my phone. Like I'll record clips and stuff like that. But I don't know where I saw, if it was somebody I've talking to or whatever, but just trying to practice being in the moment.
Yeah.
Right. And I hope that because of our stage antics or like things we do, maybe it's not like super special, but we just want to like try to do things that entertain people and keep people's attention throughout the whole set. So it's like, rather than just playing, it's like, dude, put on a show.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm not sure if you're a big fan of him, but have you seen Alice Cooper live?
I haven't. Okay. The only time I can say like I've seen a performance is like, I think it was in the second Wayne's World movie. Have you seen that movie?
I haven't, but I've seen his cameo in it.
Yeah. So basically, like that's the only thing I can reference is like when you say Alice Cooper, I'm just like, oh yeah, I remember that scene from Wayne's World where he comes out and dude, like, yeah, he has the whole like, you know, the stage get up and the skeletons and the makeup and stuff like that. So
I'm not sure what year it was, but I saw him open for Motley Crue for like their sort of last tour, and it was admittedly better than the main act, like which was Motley. He was much better than them, unfortunately. But there was moments where like they'd pull out a guillotine and they'd cut his head off, and then he'd come out in like a big Frankenstein costume, and it's like you don't really see that in music and stuff like that. And I had no idea that's the kind of show he put on. So yeah, it was just insane to see something like that.
Dude, yeah. I mean, if you have the budget, man, like go for it.
Yeah,
it's like bring all the tools to the table. Because I mean, speaking of, when I went to see Mastodon with Fluff, it's like they had like the LED screens, which is super sick.
Yeah.
Right. But they had these lasers last night that were fucking crazy. I can only imagine that if I ever did drugs, right? Like if I was on acid or something or shrooms, like it would have been crazy. It would have melted my brain. But even just watching it, like that's what I'm talking about, like being in the moment kind of thing. Like I filmed part of it, but then I had to like turn my phone off and I was just watching and I was like,
yeah,
you're hearing the music, but you're experiencing something visual along with it.
Yeah.
You know? So like we're not at that point where we can bring out like smoke machines and lasers and stuff like that, but you know, we want to try to just up the ante when it comes to energy and bringing it to the table too.
I was going to ask, did you and Fluff go to Tony and you're like, sorry, we want smoke machines and lasers and LED screens, like just we want everything that they had because we need that.
Legit. No, during the show, Fluff actually sent a video of it and he was like, dude, can we get lasers? And then Tony was just like, well, I'm pretty sure we need permits for that. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. Because those lasers are actually like really sensitive. And like, I think there's something like if they hit somebody's eye, like it could possibly damage them. Right. So it's like, yeah, we don't want to go through all those hoops for, we don't have that kind of financial backing yet. So
give it a few more years and then we'll see lasers and smoke. So
dude, that'd be crazy. It's the first time Ben said on air.
All right.
Like we'll come back to this in 3 years and see if it comes true.
And then the year after that we'll have giant Frankensteins and guillotines. So
dude, something. I'm trying to think of what our shtick would be. I don't know if we would go that metal, but it'd probably be like blow up animals and stuff like that.
Just get like a paper mache animal and just
dude, or that, or like, no, not blow up animals. That'd be PETA would be all over us for that. Yeah, or something. We would probably be like, I don't know, dude. That's a lot to think about right now.
Yeah,
I'm just trying to play a show, bro.
Oh yeah, my next question, when like I was talking about you and Hans throwing your guitars at each other, my next question was, what's the most valuable thing that you've broken? But apparently you haven't broken anything, so that's good.
God, like music wise, yeah, I mean, yeah. I've been very fortunate with my instruments. I've never had, like, knock on wood, any sort of like crazy accidents. I mean, nothing that I've broken. Before our last tour, we were supposed to go on tour in February, and I wanted to get some work done on my guitars. So I talked to my rep at Schecter, and he's like, yeah, man, like send them down and we can do like a fret level and, yada, yada, do the setup and stuff. And I sent them there, and I think a week or so went by and they said they were delivered. And I hit my guy up and I was like, hey man, any progress with the guitars? And he's like, well, we haven't seen them yet. And I was like, what do you mean? And so I looked up the address just to double check. And it was literally just a couple blocks from their factory at a house, and the area looked pretty rough. Like, we're talking about like bars on the windows kind of area. And I was like, oh fuck, dude, like those legit got signed off by somebody at a normal residence, and like I never saw those guitars again.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I mean that was costly, but luckily, again, speaking of Fluff, dude, that guy has saved me so many times. Like he did his thing with his connections and like helping me get like identical same guitars too. I was super bummed. I was like, dude, I love those guitars. Like, and I put some, extra love, and like put like pickups and did some upgrades on them and stuff. I was like, dude,
how did Fluff explain that to him? He's like, yeah, so we accidentally gave some random guy our guitars.
Well, yeah, I mean, the guy he uses for shipping is a super sweet guy, and it was an honest mistake. It was literally just one street. It was the same name, but like an added ending to it.
Right.
We talked to UPS, and they're just like, well, yeah, we'll go knock on the door, which who knows if they did too, because I mean, the area is pretty scary. And so they told us like, yeah, we couldn't recover them. So luckily there was insurance associated with it too. Yep. So like we got it taken care of. Right. But it was tragic, man, because at the time you don't know those things. You're just like, dude, those were my guitars. And plus there's like a meaning to them behind it. It's like I took them around the US, like my first tour with them. I mean, they weren't like, my father's guitars. Like that would have been way more tragic. But there are ones that like, okay, I did my first tour with, and I saw myself like I wanted to be that guy who held on to an instrument. There's like a handful of guys I follow, like Jerry Cantrell and dudes like that, who have a handful of their guitars that they started with and they still gig with. Yeah. And like I love that idea. It's like I don't want to be a dude who like plays a new guitar every tour. Yeah. I wanted to have a guitar that like still sounds sick and like gets beat to shit. But luckily I was able to bounce back, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise. Like the ones that I ended up getting like felt and kind of sounded a little bit better. Like they had a little bit more like resonance behind them and sustain. I was like, is that supposed to happen? So, but yeah, I've recouped.
Cool. Glad it wasn't too devastating. Can't say that word. Yeah. Glad it wasn't too devastating.
Yeah.
Because I've got like on the I'm not good with guitars. What's the top of this called? The head?
The headstock?
The headstock, yeah. With the headstock of that, it's got like a little plaque saying happy 21st birthday. So like if I lost that one, that wouldn't be good at all. So
yeah, dude. Yeah, it has some meaning behind it. It's like regardless of the pricing of a guitar, is like, if it has like sentimental value. Like for instance, like speaking of acoustics, the acoustic I have is like, it's not nice by any means, but my brother at the time, this was probably like 10, 12 years ago, he was working at an apartment complex doing maintenance, and he found this guitar just in the trash. And he's like, weird. So he took it home and like he's like, well, you can have it. And I was like, perfect, dude. Like, and I think it sounds pretty decent. I mean, it's a little rough around the edges, but like it doesn't have a ton of sentimental value to it. But like, I appreciate it because like it just goes to show you that like what somebody doesn't find valuable that will throw away is like my means of inspiration, like my lifeline. I mean, if as corny as that sounds, like that person was like, yeah, fuck this guitar, and like I took it and I still have it to this day, and I'm like, dude, like I think it's sick, dude, and I'll play around with it and like I'll learn on it.
How was that, like, how did he word that, giving the guitar to you? It's like, yeah, so I found this in the garbage, do you want it? You're like, oh, thanks.
Dude, yeah, he was like, dude, I found it in like the recycle, like somebody just threw this away, because he would find some crazy shit. Like people would throw away like brand new shoes, like, and this is like in kind of a nicer area of Seattle, right. So like these people who are making a ton of money, they're just like, well, I'm not going to go through the process of selling these for more money. Like, I'm just going to get rid of them. And I live in, you know, the city. So like, I'm just going to throw them in the trash.
Yeah.
And so, but like the guitar was the thing where he's just like, dude, like, I'm going to take this home and give it to my brother. So yeah, he was just like, I found this in the recycle. And I was like, no shit, dude. Like, give me that.
Well, it's good that he found it in the recycle. I was thinking like the trash where there's like banana peels and milk and stuff like that. So right. I'm glad that it wasn't that gross.
So to take out the diapers out of the hole. Yeah, that would be disgusting.
Yeah. You know how hard it is to get a pick out of there? Imagine trying to get a diaper out of it.
Yuck, dude. That'd be gross. That's full on like I'm wearing a SARS mask for that.
Sort of like going back to touring and stuff like that, or maybe just like even recording. Who's a specific musician or a band that you would like to either tour with or write a song with?
We lucked out, dude, because like speaking of Beartooth, like that was definitely like a band that when we first started talking was like a band that were like, dude, this is a band that inspires us to do what we do. And for me, and I got the opportunity to chat with the Wage War guys about it, but Wage War was like definitely a huge band in my opinion when it came to like a band I was following. And like I even told him when we toured with them, like the first night we played in Las Vegas with them, we ended up sharing a green room with them, and I was like, oh fuck, dude, like I hope I don't make them feel weird and like I'm awkward or whatever. And I told him, I was like, yeah, dude, like this is crazy because I've been a fan of them for a while. And like I told him, I was like, yeah, dude, like I've been in your crowds. Like when you play Seattle, like I've been in your crowds. And they're like, dude, and they were like super humble and nice dudes. And they're pretty flattered by that. Like, oh, that's sick, dude. But other than that, like a band now that I'd love to tour with, man, there's a ton. I mean, I've been a big Bring Me the Horizon fan lately. Right. I love that they've evolved into what they've evolved into. Like the sound that they originally had, I was just like, it's cool, but the melodies now and like the production they have and like the songwriting they do, I'm like, dude, that's definitely a band I'd love to tour with. There's a ton of bands I'd love to tour with, man. A Polaris, which is a band from Australia, right? I'd love to tour with those dudes.
I saw him at Night and Day, which is a music festival for New Year's, and we saw Polaris, and they were amazing.
Oh, dude, yeah, I can imagine because I'll watch their YouTube videos of them performing. Actually, I have seen them. They played Seattle. They were on a Wage War tour. They opened for the Pressure tour, and they came through Seattle, so I saw them and Wage War. So it was super sick. But yeah, other than that, dude, like I'm sure once I get off this interview, I'm like, oh fuck, I should have said that band. But there's a ton of bands and like people that I listen to. Another one that's like they've been around for, I can't remember how long they've been around for. This band called Savage Hands. I don't know if you've heard of them.
Haven't heard of them, no. I've got a long list of bands I need to listen to after this.
Yeah, Savage Hands is a super sick band. I would love to tour with those dudes. Like I've never met them, but like I love their sound. Like they have good songwriting and super sick songs.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, dude, I mean, the list could go on, but that's all I can think of at the top of my head right now.
What about artists or like? I was just thinking like if there was a guitarist that you could do a song with, but then that means like you or Fluff wouldn't be doing that part, so like it would have to kind of be a vocalist.
Yeah, it's sad to say, but like I'm one of those musicians who like if you played a song for me, I would barely maybe remember the chorus of it.
Right.
Like I'm very much so in tune to like what the drums are doing, what the guitar is doing, the bass and stuff like that. But as far as a vocalist who captures my attention, like who would I love to work with? Fuck, dude. I don't know. There's so many good bands. The first band I thought of, which I don't know how it would mesh with our style, is this band called Tesseract. Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them. I've heard of them. Haven't listened to them.
So their vocalist they have now, which is their original guy. He originally was in the band, and then they got a new guy for some time, and then he came back. But I love that guy's voice. Or actually, now that I think about it, if I pronounce his name correctly, Shaley from Dayshell. Have you heard of them?
I have not heard of him.
So he used to be, you probably remember this. He used to be the guitar player and vocalist in a band called Of Mice and Men.
I've heard of them. Haven't listened to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So he was originally in that band, and then he started this band called Dayshell, which is super sick. I would definitely recommend listening to them, but he has a beautiful voice, and I think it'd be cool to collab with his sound as well.
So yeah, the theme for this interview seems to be I've heard of them, haven't listened to them. So
Dude, it's all good. There's a ton of bands that there's still like I'm still discovering new bands out there like that are up and coming like us, or bands that have been around for some time. I've definitely caught myself like with Fluff, who he's like come through the whole like punk rock and grunge era, and there's like bands that he listens to, he'll put on, and I'll be like, who is this? And he's like, you don't know who this is. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, I don't. So I think the cool thing about music is like the never ending discovery of new stuff.
Yeah, it's got a lot of flaws, but that's one of my favorite things about Spotify is when like it'll recommend you a song and it's like the amount of artists that I've listened to and found out about through like lockdown and just listening to Spotify, people that I've never heard of until now, and it's like, damn, they've like a couple of them have like split up, which is real pain in the ass, but it's cool that it's a never ending cycle of music.
Yeah, exactly, man. I think same thing. Like I'll put on a band's with the radio playlist, like bands that are like them, and like I've definitely discovered a handful of new bands where I'm like, dude, these guys are sick. Like, how did I not hear about them? And I think I love that about Spotify and the day and age that we're living in. Is like the internet is, you can find anything out there, especially when it comes to music. Like any band you're looking for, like hopefully you'll come across them, and like you'll just keep adding them to your playlist.
The majority of ways that I found out about musicians isn't actually from Spotify. Surprisingly, it's from video games and video game soundtracks. Do you have any of that? It's kind of like Spotify. You're just going through the game radio, and it's like, oh, this is a pretty rad song, and then you listen to it from there.
Yeah, that's actually makes a lot of sense. And I think that's a discussion that we've had is like, how do we get our music in the hands of other demographics, like other than just YouTube and Spotify? And like video games is a huge avenue, dude. Like I can't think of a specific band or song that I've heard in a video game that I was like, oh my God, I love this. But there's definitely the nostalgic ones like Need for Speed Underground 2 and like games like that, like where I'm just like, dude, I can definitely get down with this playlist for sure. Yeah. That's super rad, dude. Like I appreciate hearing that like you've consumed music from other avenues than just like a music source. It's a video game, but they have music to, back it up, which I love.
Even like a band like Rise Against, who's a huge band, I found out about them through like Guitar Hero, like a really sort of obscure way to find out about them.
Right? That's actually another good thing too. Like I think that's how Dragon Force got a ton of momentum from that game. Killswitch Engage, which is a huge one because they're in that like same ballpark as us when it comes to like sound, like a metal band that you wouldn't hear on major radios if maybe they did get some major plays or spins, but Guitar Hero definitely was a huge leg up for them as well, I'm sure.
Not sure if you're much of a gamer, but have you heard of the video game series Dead Rising? It's like a zombie
I've heard
game.
of it. Yeah, I'm not a huge gamer. Like Tony is like our gamer dude. But no, I haven't come across that. Right. No.
Yeah, because like I don't know if you've heard of Cell Dweller or Blue Starly.
I haven't, no.
They're more like sort of industrial and electronic metal. But like
hell yeah.
My favorite video game franchise is the reason that I have found out about them. And if I play music, I'm playing it sort of more like new metal and rock and stuff like that, and that kind of helped me sort of try and do more sort of like synth influences and stuff like that. So it's really cool that video games has such a surprisingly big crossover with music.
Same thing goes with movies too. Like I think that's where I've probably consumed music more over than video games, because like I'm kind of a movie person. There's definitely movies and songs that I've heard and I'm just like, dude, I love this, and I'll look it up and find it. Like that's how I've consumed a lot of new music too. So yeah, video games is just, I have a hard time sitting down and maybe I'm just too ADD. I'm just like, I can't sit there. Like I'll play Call of Duty for maybe like an hour, and then I'm just like, all right, what can I do else? So
It's surprising you mentioned like movie soundtracks and stuff like that. Like The Matrix is one of the biggest ones that I know of that's like ranging from, they're all sort of under the umbrella of like rock and metal, but like Marilyn Manson, Rammstein, Rage Against the Machine. Like I didn't really think about music soundtracks, but it's a very similar thing to video games.
Yeah. Well, dude, also I would say I'll take back the whole video game thing. I definitely grew up in the era of Tony Hawk's Pro Skater.
Yeah.
And so that was a soundtrack that absolutely stuck with me, like through all those games too. And like, that's something that these guys reference, like all the guys in my band were like, you know, we'd love to capture that kind of crowd, that sound of like, you know, a punky metal band that you could hear on a video game soundtrack like Tony Hawk. So Tony Hawk was probably the game that like, I remember a lot of those songs. I'll actually go on Spotify. I don't know if you've done that before, but you can look up video game soundtracks on there, and like if people like made the playlist already and like you play through it and you'll just literally just be taken back, like, oh my god, dude, this is like me in grade school. This is crazy.
And especially when it's like specific levels linked to specific songs, like was it Dave Mirra? Have you heard of that? Or like he was a BMX cyclist.
Oh, the BMX guy? Yeah.
And the song What I Got by Sublime is like level 1, and that song basically just loops out through level 1. So it's like whenever I listen to that song, I imagine like going through the tunnel and driving over, like jumping over the train and stuff like that. It's such like an attached song to that game. So yeah, it's really cool you mentioned that.
Dude, for sure. Yeah, because I remember, speaking of Sublime, they were on this, it was like an X Games mixtape that, I don't know, I think my mom or dad bought it. God, I can't remember all the other bands, but like I found that playlist on Spotify and I was just like taken back, dude. It was crazy. But yeah, video games, movies, like I think are cool ways to consume music. And I think that is a goal of ours eventually, is to like, you know, get into a position where, you know, maybe we'll get lucky enough to have our music be featured that way too, because I think that's just like, that's a big advantage for a lot of people to consume music. I mean, think of the thousands of people, millions of people who watch these movies or play these video games. So that'd be the ultimate goal.
Yeah, absolutely. It would definitely fit a video game, like a Tony Hawk kind of thing. So on those songs and stuff like that, you always see comments like, you know, I found this song through Tony Hawk, and it's like, that could be you. Dude,
right? I mean, and we've kind of had that luck recently too with just radio stuff. Like we got featured, like Crooked Halos got featured on Octane, and I noticed some of the comments on that video were like, there was a handful of people who were there and they mentioned that like they found out about us because of the radio. So it's like, you know, we hope that you can start getting more of that attention and start getting more of those opportunities to get featured on radio stations, and then, you know, go further and go into video games and movies and stuff like that. That'd be sick. You know?
Yeah, it's cool that people still listen to radio. I didn't know that.
Dude, right? I mean, do you guys have XM down there?
I don't think so. We might, but I haven't heard of it.
Honestly, like I don't know much about XM. Like I haven't listened to like the radio in forever too, but there definitely are people who still consume music on the radio. It's not as common as you thought. Like now with Spotify and iTunes and YouTube and stuff, like though it's an easy way for people to just get to what they want, you know? So it is rare that, you know, people will discover you through those avenues now, I guess. But yeah, radio is definitely, there's those people who still love the radio, dude.
Yeah. Like I said before, I work in a hardware store, and like when sort of I was in like the tool shop department where there's like drills and stuff like that. I don't know why I'm explaining to you what tools are, but it's like in that section we had like a little radio behind us, and I was like flipping through the channels, and I found like Triple M is a big radio station here, but I found like Triple M, I think it was called like Hard and Heavy, and that was like the hard rock and heavy metal thing. So I had to like turn it down as to not blast Slipknot to all the, you know, 40-year-old guys buying drills and stuff like that. But it was cool that it's like at work listening to these random bands that it's like heavy metal. Had to make sure the boss didn't yell at me. But
dude, yeah, I mean I love that you brought that up too. Like hearing that kind of stuff on the radio, because before I went on that Beartooth tour, I was selling Harleys at this dealership. And Beartooth came on a handful of times through that radio station. I was like, dude, this is so crazy. Like this band I'm about to go on the road with, their song is playing through the radio station. So
that's insane. Did that get you very giddy? You're like, oh shit, like it felt real.
I like a handful of coworkers. I'm like, dude, this is the band that like is taking us out. And I'm like, no shit, dude. It's crazy. And then just going back to work. It's like, all right, never mind. Yeah.
I was going to ask you, you're like, hey, you know this band? I'm going to tour with them. Yeah, it's pretty cool, right?
Yeah, dude, right? I mean, yeah, a handful of them are pretty stoked, so.
I think I already know what the answer is, but what is one of the biggest highlights of your musical career so far?
Yeah, tour, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I want to play music to a bunch of people in a room every night, you know? So, like, that's definitely a highlight of my career, because that was something that, kind of going back to what I was telling you about earlier, like when I first got initially contacted by them, was I basically committed to just living a normal life. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like just owning a home and paying bills and all that stuff and starting a family and all those things. And like, then once that flame was lit again, I was like, oh my God, dude, this is my chance to do this.
Yeah.
So like finally getting to that point where it's like every night was pretty much sold out in all those rooms. And like, these were venues that like, I never thought we would play.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you get to a level where there's not only just people on the main floor, but then there's balconies and there's people in those. Like when we played in New York, it was a double decker. I don't know how you describe it. It's a 2-tiered venue. So there's the main floor and then there's 2 floors above it. And just seeing like, when you look up and you're seeing all those people in that, like, especially like, here's a good one, like House of Blues in Chicago, their venue is very much so like that. Like, you could look up straight and like there's people all around and you're like, dude, this is fucking crazy, dude. So it's like, it's a huge achievement. Like, I think that's what anybody daydreams about, is just like playing and doing what they love in front of thousands of people. And it's like getting to finally do that was definitely a dream come true.
Yeah, I don't remember what the song was, but I was watching a video last night of you guys playing, and like it was just before the breakdown, and whoever was filming like panned to the back of the room, and it's like they're panning, and you're seeing the crowd, and it's like, oh shit, like still going. It's like a massive room just full of people, and it's like the fact that I don't know if that was one that was 2-tiered, but like if that was 2-tiered, that's that size doubled.
Dude, yeah. I mean, was that one of the videos that I sent you?
I think so. It was either that one or one that was recommended after, but yeah.
Yeah, so I think that might have been in Massachusetts,
right?
Which is a venue called the Palladium, which, yeah, it's like an old, I think it used to be an opera house that they turned into like just a normal music venue. And yeah, a lot of those venues that were booked, dude, were like a 2-tiered system or whatever you want to call it. Like, or some of them were outside. Like one we played in Florida in Fort Lauderdale. No, St. Petersburg. Right. That one was outside, and that one was super rad too. But also, I think the big thing was too is like the reaction and the response that we got from the crowd, especially being an opener, was insane. Like seeing that kind of movement, because I've been to a lot of shows with like a lot of sick bands that are opening, and like people are just kind of standing there waiting for direct support or like headliner. It's like, it was really flattering to see people like be that stoked on us. A lot of them didn't hear and didn't know about us too. So just seeing their response, I was just like, dude, this is fucking crazy, bro.
Can't imagine how shit it would be to be like, you know, the opener and everyone's just like, good job. When's the next act coming on? Like,
for sure. I can't even really remember, like maybe once or twice, like some shows weren't like what we expected, but at the same time, it's like, dude, this is my first really big tour. I mean, they went out with the Used before, but they told me on that Used run that they had a lot of crowds like that, where they're just like, get the fuck off the stage. Like, we're just Used, right? So it was definitely a flattering experience to have people be that stoked on the opener. So
yeah, just a testament to the energy that you bring on, sort of like, not to that level, but like Alice Cooper I mentioned before, like in some cases he was better than the actual act. So it's good that, I don't want to, you know, shit talk the other band that you were playing with, but it's good that you were a good opener for the band, because you didn't bore the crowd, you got them excited for the next one. Like, it's just a testament to how energetic and crazy you guys are when you're playing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's important, man, is just knowing the caliber of the people we were going out with, like being fans of these bands. So it's like, you don't want to disappoint them, right? Because they don't want to be like, man, we took a shit band out with us. So that was my big thing. I was like, these are guys that like we are inspired by, so we want to put on a good show for them. But more importantly, it's like we want to gather new fans, right? Like, we want their fans to be our fans too, so like we can't suck. So like, luckily we played very well every night, and then especially being like kind of nervous for a lot of those shows too, it's like you're laser focused on making sure that you don't suck. Right? So, and if you biff it, you're just like, all right, just move past it and just keep going. most of the time people won't notice, you hope. So
except for that one YouTube troll being like, at 2 minutes and 53 seconds, he, went for the 5th fret. He should have gone for the 4th fret. So, not a fan anymore. Totally ruined.
I'd be shocked if somebody had that kind of precision, or taking the time to give us that hard of a time of like, dude, you're a great musician. Then I can take it. Dude.
What's something about making music or playing music that you miss that you don't really do back in the day, like when you were just starting out, or something like 20 years ago that musicians don't really do? What's something that you miss about that?
That's a good question. I mean, I think what I'm sure you probably get a lot of if you ask that question a lot is the organicness of just everybody sitting in a room,
right,
and just working on stuff together. Like that's not something that we necessarily do, and I don't think a lot of bands do. It's like the power of technology today has gotten us to a point to where like we could legit produce a pretty decent sounding record and record our own stuff on just a computer.
Yeah,
it's cool to think about how you could have that kind of chemistry with a bunch of dudes and just give them instruments and sit down in a room and just like work stuff out and just come up with ideas, which part of that is true. Like this last session through the beginning of Upright Animals, when we started that, like we all were there, we like just threw out ideas and we played parts and we tried to come up together with some certain stuff, but like not everyone like all their ideas come across, and get used. Right. And that's something you just got to accept. But back to the point, which is, as far as that kind of style of working together doesn't really necessarily exist anymore. And that's okay. I mean, that's just the nature of how accessible recording yourself is. And just rather than just going to somebody's house who drums, it's like, well, I could just program your stuff right now and just come up with ideas. Yeah. So it's definitely a good and bad thing for sure. Yeah.
That was a really good answer, because I think I've asked like 2 or 3 people that same question, have never gotten an answer like that. So yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think 2 of the people that I've asked that to have said like recording onto tape, because like I think they started like maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So like
probably from back in the day.
Yeah. So like the band that they were in started like 25 years ago. So like that kind of explains that different answer. But yeah, it was a good answer, because I hadn't really thought about that, how different it is between playing in a room, just jamming out demos and stuff like that, to just recording your part and sending it via Dropbox or something, like how different that is now.
Yeah, man. I mean, it is definitely something that's makes working more efficiently. Like it makes it so much easier, but at the same time, it's like you don't get to have that kind of chemistry with just like organically coming up with something. It's like I'll just beat my head against the wall on one idea just by myself in a room with nobody in it. But I do appreciate like having as many people as I can. Like my last band that I was in, there's one dude, the drummer of it, who like him and I just clicked. And that's a chemistry that like once you find that, it's like, dude, like nurture that.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm always open to like, how do you want to change this part? What's the feel for this? Or like, how long should we make this? And when you guys can click like that, it's like, okay, we can do this.
Yeah. So sort of as like an opposite to that question, what is something back in the day or sort of now that you are glad you don't do anymore because it was just such a pain in the ass to do back then?
Fuck. I would say recording drums, but there's definitely like an appreciation for having real drum tones on a record. But one of the previous bands I was in, we actually did real drums on the EP that we put out.
Right.
And it sounds sonically amazing, but like the process of going through that, like, and I wasn't the engineer, but like the time that it takes to get all the drums in there, like we had to bring the drums there to the studio the day before because you have to let them acclimate to the environment, like temperature wise. Like you can't just bring these freezing cold drums into this warm studio because it will change, literally it'll change tonally once they warm up. Right. So we had to bring them then in the day before, and then the next day we had to like tune them specifically and mic them up and get drum tones. And not only just getting drum tones, like you have to send those through, you know, like compression and EQ and stuff like that. So it's a time consuming process. However, it's like, it's very worth it if you can do it well. But again, like the old school way of recording music is it takes a lot more time and dedication. But like, if you can do it right, like I love a metal record, especially that has like good tight drum tones and like real guitars played on it and, you know, real amplifiers and, you know, all that kind of stuff too.
What's an idea that you had, either you or somebody else in the band, that was such a weird idea and sort of very out of left field, but then once you actually put it into the song, you're like, holy shit, surprisingly, this worked really well?
Yeah, right when you started saying that, I was like, dude, I know what I'm gonna say. There's a song on our new record that actually has like a samba on it. Do you know what that is?
Shit. Yeah, I know what it is. I can't picture it right now, but I definitely know what a samba is.
It's basically like a Latin vibe.
Right.
And there's like a shaker but when I first heard it, I was just like, this is so obscure. But once the whole song came together and it's done, it's like literally one of my favorite songs on the record. And I think that's cool because it's when people talk about like, what do you do on the next record after the first one you put out?
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's a good example of like how the band and like our ideas and like things we want to like try to bring to the table of like experimenting a little bit, but it still like captures like our vibe. Right. Yeah. So, but it was definitely interesting. I was like, dude, it's weird, but it works so well and I love it. It's such a great song.
Yeah. And when you send that to me, I'll put it in the interview.
Dude, right. Warner Music Group, you do not hear this. Yeah.
I just imagine it's like you with the band just watching the interview. They're like, hang on, why is the song playing? How did he get that?
Straight up, right? Yeah, I'd probably get in a lot of trouble.
So what can we kind of expect to see from Upright Animals? Is there something, I know you can't really say too much about the album and you can't really give too much away, but what is something that we can expect to hear from the album?
Maybe I'm biased because like I think every song on it is really good. There wasn't a song on there that was not great.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'd answer that question a lot better. Right. But no, I fumbled through it and I was just like, this one sucks.
Is the album going to be good? And then you just say, yes, it's going to be good and we'll cut there. No.
We dog shit. No, I'm kidding. No, we're excited, man. Like, I mean, I guess the way I could say like what to expect from it is definitely, which I think every band would say they do. But of course, like we wanted to do something a little different. We wanted to be a little more edgy. We wanted to push our boundaries when it came to our sound. Right. And I think that's just the evolution of any band. It's like you can't put out the same record over and over again. Like there's a small demographic of your fans that will love hearing the same kind of sound every time. And like we definitely kept a lot of our, essence, the energy and the fastness and the heaviness and stuff. But we definitely added some other elements that I felt like were different for sure from the last record. More accelerated songwriting skills.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know what adjective to use, but it's just crazy how a song like All of Us and then a song like Crooked Halos, and it's like completely different.
Yeah, for sure. And I heard Tony talk about this in a previous interview when somebody asked him the similar question of like, what's acceptable when it comes to like your sound? And he's like, anything that falls within like a punk, metalcore, or hardcore, like on that graph, like is acceptable, right? And just because we all come from like different styles. Everyone has their favorite bands, but like once we can kind of bring our inspiration to the table and like collaborate and bring all those ideas together, that's what makes what we do, that's what makes Dragged Under,
Which one of you has like the most completely different and obscure sense of music taste?
I don't know, man. We all I would say every one of us, we all have our like weird quirks with different artists. Like I'm a big Eiffel 65 fan. You remember them?
I know one of their songs.
Dude, yeah, but that record is incredible. Like that's a very nostalgic. So like I would say I have a pretty obscure music taste. Like I'll listen to everything like country. I love country, house music, stuff like that. But other than that, I mean, yeah, I know every one of them could probably answer that question with an artist that's weird. Yeah, for sure.
So did Eiffel 65 have more than one song or?
Bro, they have like a handful of records, but the record that song was on is incredible. Maybe I'm biased, but like I think it's great.
I like that we don't even say the name of the song, but we all know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. You can't speak about that song. It's rotting everyone's brain, but I swear by that record, dude. I used to snowboard to that record.
Awesome. That was my ringtone for I think one of my phones that I had. That was my ringtone. So I don't know why. It was just a fun song.
If I can still do it, I'm gonna make it my ringtone now. Fluff is definitely in like a demographic. He definitely has a style, like because he grew up on like old punk and like he stays relative into that kind of ballpark. But I feel terrible. Like, do I not know my bandmates that well? But like, I think anything we put on, we're just like, oh yeah, we for sure have heard this song. I love Alanis Morissette.
Right.
I'm sure you definitely heard of her songs. They were huge in the 90s. Like,
Or I know one of them. I know Ironic. I don't know the others.
I'm gonna text them after this and be like, dude, what are your obscure artists? But I'm sure like throughout the process of driving around the country on that last tour, like they probably put it on, but I was probably just passed out in the back.
Yeah, do you have any plans on, I'm not sure if you can announce tour dates, and like with Corona, everything's kind of up in the air, but do you know if you guys are planning to travel to Australia anytime?
I haven't gotten any word about any Australian dates. Like that's definitely a goal of ours for sure. But there isn't anything in the foreseeable future, like within the next year, that says we're going to Australia.
Yeah, so that's all right.
I'm trying to go down there and pet some kangaroos for sure, bro.
Absolutely, yeah. Kangaroos, well, you can't really pet kangaroos, like, especially wild ones, they'll kick you, so.
Yeah. Or koala bear.
Yeah. Have you heard of drop bears?
I haven't.
You got to watch out for drop bears. They're like a species of koala that they're in the top of the trees and they'll jump on you. So you got to watch out for them as well.
No shit.
They're like a sort of a feral subspecies of koala. So.
No way. Well, I actually worked with a dude who lived in Australia for a while, and he was talking about like a lot of the wildlife out there, like insects, like spiders and stuff like that you can come across. And he's like, they're pretty gnarly, dude.
Yeah, we've got like 1,000. I don't know the exact number, so I'm going to exaggerate, but we have like 1,000 different species of poisonous or venomous spiders. So yeah, if you come to Australia, you got to watch out for the drop bears and the spiders. So, but aside from that, the people are great. So
yeah, no, everyone from Australia I've ever talked to is super cool. But yeah. Dude, I'll warn my guys about the animals and the insects for sure.
So next time you see him, be like, Kyle Evans, the guy that interviewed me, he said you have to come to Australia, so we got to do it. Even if you're playing to a venue of one person, which is me, still got to do it.
We're gonna make it happen one way or another, dude. Just pay for our plane tickets. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, it's not gonna be a good financial decision, but playing to one dude.
Dude, yeah, it'd be brutal.
I hope the accent hasn't been too distracting for you. If I like say something and you're like, what the fuck was that? Like, hopefully you've been able to understand me.
Tony, the singer, owns like a ad agency, and one of the companies I was working with, because I worked through him on the side too, and one of the companies I was working with was from Australia. So like I had a handful of conversations from with that gentleman in Australian accent too, and I was like, oh, this is tight, dude. But yeah, it's not anything like out of the norm for sure.
Nothing like the thick Scottish and Irish accents where it's like, I don't know what you're saying.
Dude, yeah, right. And I noticed in one of your interviews, some guy made you do or asked you to do an American accent. Let's hear it, bro.
Oh shit, okay. What do you want me to say? That's always the question that I ask, because I don't know what good words are good in American accent. I'll try and read some of the Dragged Under songs in an American accent. You've got Brainwash Broadcast, Crooked Halos, Just Like Me. It's really hard because they're all short song titles.
Yeah, no, but it definitely sounds super American, dude.
Yeah, whenever I do an American accent, I always like really deepen my voice. I don't know why.
Yeah, dude, it's perfect.
You're the lead guitarist for Dragged Under. That's
It's so good. I love it.
Can you do an Australian accent? You don't have as much reference for me because in Australia, 90% of our media is American. So
I got to think of something to say. This is my passport for the United States of America.
It's pretty good.
And that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth.
It's a little bit British.
There's definitely days where I catch, like, that's something that I think I have a knack for. Like, I can pick up on accents pretty good.
Yeah.
There's days where I'm just like, dude, my Australian's on fire. And then I'll get caught and they're like, dude, that sounded pretty British. I'm like, fuck. So I had a friend who actually vacationed down there, and he said that people would be like, calm your farm, mate.
Oh, calm your farm, yeah.
Yeah. I was like, what does that mean? Calm your farm,
calm
mate.
Your farm, yeah. Just calm down. Just settle down.
Or like you guys call like pickup trucks utes.
Utes, yeah.
Yeah.
Utes. I've been meaning to go to America, but like the amount of times I'll look at something and be like, oh, look at the ute, and everyone will be like, what are you talking about?
Dude, that's cool. People would love that, dude. Like, yeah, if you traveled anywhere, they'd be like taken back, like, oh my god, where are you from? Like, tell me all about you. They'd be super stoked. Yeah, dude. I'll probably cut out here in a little bit. I got to make some dinner. It's getting a little late.
It usually takes me like maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours when I'm talking to people in America, because it's like 7 p.m. there. So they're like, yeah, got to wrap this up. Got to, feed the kids or have dinner or something like that. So.
No, dude, it's super fun. Like, I appreciate you asking me to do this. I was actually like kind of I mean, obviously nervous a little bit because I've never done an interview. So I was like, man, I hope I don't suck.
No, absolutely, man. You were great. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, I definitely was a pleasure speaking with you. And I think, I wish you the best success with, more interviews and growing your channel.
Thanks.
And your presence with Instagrams.